Social justice is one of those terms that we hear just constantly thrown out. That if you are living in this society, you've got to be pro-social justice. And I think that there's an instinct that all Christians have to obviously want to be pro-justice. But that raises a question about a phrase like social justice. And so I think we want to maybe unpack these ideas of social and justice to see kind of maybe a more biblical foundation for thinking about this concept. I think where we would want to begin is how to define the concept of justice. And as Christians, we want to say the standard of justice begins with God, with God's character. It doesn't begin with human-centered understandings of justice. I would point us toward Psalm 9, 7, and 8. It says, "But the Lord sits enthroned forever. He has established his throne for justice, and he judges the world with righteousness. He judges the people with uprightness." And so from the very pages of Scripture, we have this understanding that not only does justice exist, justice is a reflection of the very character of God. Meaning that as society crumbles all around us, and as new concepts of justice get added to the cultural lexicon, we want to do something more foundational. We want to ask, but how does that square up with our understanding of justice being rooted in God's holy, perfect, and good nature? That's where justice begins. When we think more practically about a concept of justice, one of the classical definitions is rendering to each person what is owed to them. Now, to say that we are giving individuals what they are owed, that assumes some norm that we are saying this person is owed a particular thing. Now, again, we have to ask the question of, but justice according to who? Everyone can have some understanding of justice. We want to say that no, it's justice according to how God defines justice. That we render people what they are owed by virtue of who they are, which is image bearers of God. They're not just secular man or secular woman creating their own secular categories of justice. There are horrific things done in the name of social justice in our society today. Take a concept like reproductive justice. Reproductive justice is another term for simply abortion. Now, if we just a second ago spoke about how justice is rendering each person what is owed to them or what is due to them, each individual is not owed their murder. They are not owed their destruction without a system of due process. And that gets us to maybe another definition of justice, which is this idea of rectitude. And rectitude is this idea that we are to repair things to a state of normalcy, that we're to bring things to their proper states of affairs. Now, again, think about this, proper states of affairs. According to who? Apart from God and apart from God's divine revelation, states of affairs can be defined by any single person, any single group. We need something objective that stands outside of time, that stands outside of human opinion, and that being is God. Now, when we think about more finely tuned principles of justice and social justice, I think there's one way in which we can affirm some concept of social justice, which is to understand that justice by nature is inherently social. When we hear the concept of social justice today, it's usually in the context of caring for the poor, caring for the immigrant, caring for the marginalized. Obviously, we as Christians want to affirm a love and mercy and compassion for those individuals because they're made in God's image. And we want to affirm that they are owed justice. We want all of the various parts of society to function as they ought. But it's not as society wants to function according to consensus or convention or whatever majorities say. It's what God says. Social justice as it's commonly thrown around today, is sadly more or less kind of a progressive left-wing terminology that kind of traffics on the idea of grievance, oppression, identity politics. And we can't affirm those ideas as Christians because they're defined usually by very relativistic, individualized terms, which again goes to show you if we rob our understanding of justice of any firm foundation, it's just going to devolve and collapse into 1,000 different voices with 1,000 different definitions of what justice is. And we should be thankful that we have Scripture to give us a clear picture of what justice is, rooted in the holy character of God. And moreover, we should be thankful that it is Christianity, and really Christianity alone, especially in the West, that has provided that backdrop for how social justice has been thought about. We can affirm social justice if it means loving your neighbor as yourself, giving dignity to those to whom dignity is owed. Where we go awry is when we begin to collapse this into kind of autonomous, individualized conceptions of social justice.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this content, visit sbts.edu/sample to access free theology lectures from Southern Seminary.